Hi, welcome to Wildcraft, and today we are doing spruce tips for me, doing a door. Jay's just over there chilling.
And have you finished your spruce tip collection now? No, so you're still on it. And I noticed that's what I thought you were doing. I thought you were
Collecting up.
harvesting
No,
that had already shook down. So
I might as well do that now then, now you told me.
what I want to do for next year is get a group together. I'm going to start up a new group or page called Wildcraft Wood Herb Committee. It might be Wild Herb Committee, and it's a take on like the county herb committees that come about during the war for collecting wild herbs to process into medicine and other things like that, using institutions like the Scouts, schools, maybe even prisons, things like that, and they collect them and practice self-sufficiency methods without engaging in a global sense, without having ships coming and things like that. So this is a plantation. If you ask a kid when they're walking here, they'll say, oh, it's a forest, because there's this thing called shifting baseline syndrome coming on. And every generation, the baseline of what nature is or what wildness is, it changes because we're getting more and more removed from nature. So say for example there is a really peppery, mustardy tasting plant out at the moment. I've got it on wide. And it's called, one of the names is Lady Schmock, but it's called the cuckoo flower. It's called the cuckoo flower because you'll see it when the cuckoo returns. Now, there's also a little bug, and they're called frog hoppers, but they call it cuckoo spit bugs. And they're called that because you'll start to see it when the cuckoo comes. But so it's a thing that previous generations, the cuckoo bird has signalled this, so they named the plants after it. But now we don't have the cuckoo bird because the ecology and things like removing apex predators which control and manage the ecology naturally, in a natural sense, has been removed. We haven't looked after it like in a plantation like this. This isn't a natural forest, it's industry, man-made, planted and subsidised funded by government grants, and then abandoned when the money fell out of it. So because it's not set up by nature, it's planted all by man. It's seeded in a way that if management by man doesn't continue, then it kills all the ecology. And it's not a native plant as well, tree. So what happens with it's a monoculture as well. What happens with non-native species is the bugs and the ecology have, through evolution, have adapted. We'll call it square mouths. So you can only find certain butterflies on the elm tree. I was walking up the hill one day and there's loads of people with cameras, and I said, what are you doing? I said, oh, we're just waiting to take pictures of this moth. I said, there's loads of moths up there. He said, no, you can only see it on the elm tree. So the elm tree is native to here, so the moth has adapted its chewing mechanism and squirting out its little larvae, which birds eat, to fit the elm leaf. And without the elm tree, the moth can't survive. So if you put something from Jamaica, a palm tree there, then you remove the native insect. When you remove the native insect, you remove the food for the birds. When you remove the birds, and so on and so on and so on. So you can, so hazel, it's got about 20 different species that can't live, native species that are natural to this ecology. So this non-native tree here, there are no bugs in natural ecology for Britain and the UK that can eat it. That's the whole purpose of it being planted, because it's resistant against pests, because they can't eat it. Pests are the bugs, the ecology. So this is why a place like this, a plantation, industry, not a forest, a natural forest, needs management. Without it, you can get Christmas trees. So after the first, say, 5 years, after the first 5 years, you need a woodland management plan. That is the terms of the original planting plan that you got money for planting. Yeah. So if you don't keep it up, you're defrauding the original agreement of what you got paid for by the government out of public funds to plant something that's quick growing because it's resistant against pests, the ecology. And then you have to thin it. The purpose of thinning it is you see how they're all different and thin. Now they need light. I could show you another tree in there. You see, closer to the edge, they look thicker. You might not be able to see it, but the purpose of thinning is so they get more sunlight, and in turn they grow really fat trunks. Now fat trunks are essential because this is industry and lumber. So it's why it's not logical to get lumber from somewhere else, say Alaska, send it and then chop it down, and then send it to a sawmill, have it sawn up, send it to a kiln to dry, and then send it to the cargo bay on the edge, send it on a boat, and then distribute it to the shops for sale. So for lumber, a universal standard cut piece of wood for building, for it to be used, it needs to be big and fat. To be big and fat, it requires light. Otherwise, it'll be small and scrawny, competing with all of the other trees like this. So, this is abandoned industry, not a forest. So, right, now, so, I do forage walks, and one of the aims is nature connection. And nature connection is very important because we live in an industrial society, we're becoming more and more removed from. Hence, if you send a kid in here and ask him, what is this? It's a forest. No, it's not a forest, it's a plantation, man-made. And a lot of people are, because they're removed from nature, they're having, they're sad, they're getting more sad and depressed and things like this. And so someone came and visited the site whilst I was just working. And he said to me, and it was regarding a project called Shrek Swamp that this chap has set up. Isn't Ryan's coming back? This chap has set up, and it's really cool. He's put all Shrek themed things everywhere. Just 1 second, recording. He's put all Shrek themed things all about, and it's beautiful. It's attracted loads of families and things like that. So we got onto that, and this chap says, well, what I don't like is is nailed into trees. Trees cry, you know. And I stopped for a second and I thought, oh, you mean like, oh, the sap will come out and heal the tree. And so we repeated it again. And, you know, so when last year I was practiced lots of different exercises with nature connection. And one of the ways to connect with nature is it called anthropomorphization or something? It's imagining connecting a character to a tree. So say for example the birch, like the thinking tree down over in Earth Hub, the only native surviving tree in the whole of this plantation canopy. It's a very important tree, that is, because it's symbolic of what this project is, this rewilding biodiversity project. One of the ways that you can connect on a deeper level with trees and nature is to imagine it in human form. So you know, Alan of Ways is the deity for birch. So this is what he's doing in his mind, is imagining like some Walt Disney like thing, you know, candlesticks have got faces and stuff. Trees cry. Well, this, and I did understand it, but I also understand that way of thinking is just, it's just taking into account one tree, not the whole ecology. So, and the things that interact with it as well. So, you know, there was this reservoir, and it had a management job because all of the trees weren't managed, plantation trees. This is another one. Round the reservoirs over the UK, the schools and universities taught that if you put a plantation next to it, then it'd attract more water. Something to do with the trees perspiring, and then over the top of the canopy you can see birds just gliding on this perspiration wave thing that is water vapor. Now they observed that and was like, oh yeah, if we put them there then it'll create kind of a cloud effect, so we'll attract more water to the reservoir. Turns out the science were a load of shit, and it didn't attract water, but all the government grants. So we ended up with plantations like this all around the reservoirs. Now there's one local, and loads of people were in uproar. And when I passed it, all the trees were felled, and I was like, "Look at that! Like that is disgraceful! All them trees cut down." Because I didn't know about woodland management and the history and why it's important to manage woodland and all that at that point. My reaction was to protect nature. It's something that's inbuilt in you, because on a core biological level, where we know in our soul that without nature we're gone, because we're nature, and it's weird because we think we're separate from nature. It's man and nature. So it's going, trees cry, and you know, so it's because but it, you know, it frustrates me because it's not common knowledge. Is something that's taught, that this is a system. It's not thinking of the system. I do appreciate it, that the where it comes from, the root, you know, protect nature, but without management. So they started managing that, and they cut because so I don't know whether it was funded by the council, but it's United Utilities, the reservoir, so probably, unless it was an external thing. But because we're not used to managing, and it's not common practice, it's just common practice to import our wood and things like that from elsewhere, which causes a lot of problems because of the transport issues. They started cutting it, and they've cut the outside, the tree line. So this plantation, this woodland, has adapted for wind coming in, and it's the tree line, the edge of the woodland, that is protecting all of the stuff, you know, because of the shallow roots, from the wind damage. So they cut the outside edge tree line, and then the trees inside are not used to the wind, so it all went and buggered up. So it looked like chaos, destruction, and that's why it's like, wow, look at all that is a mess. So let me tell you what I think nature connection is. And it's not just doing activities like, say, foraging, what Ryan's doing, taking photos, documenting, writing, making craft and things like that. I think nature connection is something that, like a nutrient for humans, because we're biologically wired, hence this reaction that people have. Oh, look what you've done, you cut down a tree. So there's, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I've been thinking more and more of it because of building this cabin, which taps into that. It's shelter, a basic human need. Nature connection is an activity that that has a goal, you know, so but also helps you and engages you in the process of a basic human need, say for example, and progresses your knowledge and knowledge, understanding and foundation, and stores up resources for you, the human, to be reliant on yourself, not reliant on an external system, a plantation, the machine, your government, technology, industry. So because we're coming more and more reliant on industrial systems and technology, this is why we're becoming more and more removed from nature, and the skill sets like, you know, forest school stuff, bushcraft, foraging, you know, are something that in a tribal time it just would have been natural. You just do it. If you look at an animal, an animal never gets depressed or anything like that, because it's on its purpose. It just knows what to do. It's just doing. It just is. You put it in a cage, and then, you know, it'll be pacing about and getting sad. It won't eat. It won't even eat, because it's all biological reward system is all like a crack. It's not on its purpose. So nature connection is something that taps into your biological needs, your need for warmth, your need for shelter, your need for a community, your need for well, won't go into the other ones, but, you know, your basic human needs, and learning skill sets that will make you reliant on yourself. You can depend on yourself instead of depending on other things. Now, this has been a long ramble, so I'll finish it there, and I've promised them some pocket money for collecting spruce tips, and I want to make another suggestion for picking up the litter today. I'm going to finish off tidying up this and put the door on and put the lock on, and we'll see what happens. But I'm just going to leave it at that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace!